All right, the last way that we're going to combine function is something called a composite function. It's where you take the rule for one function and then do the rule for the other function. But an easier way to think about it means you plug an entire function into another function. So the way it's read is we say f of g. It's written like this, f of g. Notice this one is an open circle. The closed dot means multiplication, but this open circle means f of g. It's also written this way, f of g of x. I actually prefer the second way of writing it because I think it's a little clearer what's going on in the problem. So you'll see me use this one, but I want you to be familiar with the f of g notation with the open circle as well. All right, the next example, this is actually example 5. These are misnumbered. Sorry about that. So example 5, we've got a function f and a function g, and we are supposed to find f of g. Now, like I said, I prefer to write it like this, f of g of x. Okay. What this means to do is we are taking the entire function of g and plugging it into f. So we are taking this entire function of g and plugging it in right here into the function x. So what's going to happen, here's our function x, it's the square root, and instead of writing this x that was here, I'm going to write this entire function, 2x minus 5. So we're replacing the x with the entire function. And then we have the plus 7. Okay, so all of function g gets plugged into function f. And then we're just going to simplify whatever we can. We've got some like terms here. So we get 2x plus 2. The last step says we need to state its domain. So the domain, let's see, we've got a square root function. So for the domain, we can only take the square root if the stuff under the square root is greater than 0. So we need 2x plus 2 to be greater than 0. Actually, it's allowed to be equal to 0 because you can only take the square root of things that are positive. And then we're going to solve that. I'm going to subtract 2, and I'm going to divide by 2. So the only things that'll work in this problem is if we plug in numbers that are greater than or equal to -1. If you pick numbers that are smaller than that, you're going to be dividing by, or you're going to have try to take the square root of a negative, and it's just not going to work. The try it problem is going to be in the next video. So let's take a look at this one, which is actually example 6, misnumbered. So we have f of x and g of x, and this time it wants us to find f of g of 3. So the way we're going to do that is first we're going to find g of 3. So I'm just going to come over here and do this. So g of 3 means you're plugging 3 into g, 3 plus 1, which is 4. Okay, so g of 3 is 4. Okay, so g of 3 is 4. We just found that. We plugged in 3 into g, and you found out what it was. Now we want to find f of 4. So we're going to take 4 and we're going to plug that into our f function. So we want to find out what f of 4 is. So we plug it in here, 4 squared. Final answer is 16. So going back through that, first you plug the number into that. You always work from the inside, like start inside your parentheses. So first we find g of 3. Whatever we get for that, we plug into f. And that gives us our final answer. The 2 try it problems for this will be in the next video.